Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Divine Union podcast. And if today is your first time joining us, welcome. You are in for a treat, an actionable episode. I'm really excited to dig all into the nitty gritty around conflict today as I am getting ready to give this presentation in a corporate setting and teach teams all around conflict management. And so today we're going to be talking about conflict as a means to deepen the connection and deepen trust in your relationships. According to a Harvard study of adult development, people with strong, healthy relationships, it boosts their life satisfaction and it actually contributes to better health and longevity. So, what does that mean? That means good, healthy relationships lead to greater life fulfillment and longer life. We are all in Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Divine Union podcast. And if today is your first time joining us, welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here on this journey as we talk all about conflict and how to use conflict in ways that can actually build trust and deepen our connections and relationship. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic as I'm gearing up to speak on this topic in a corporate environment, speaking about conflict as it relates to teams and building trust and team dynamics and building better connections in team dynamics. And conflict is a topic that many people shy away from. So I'm really excited to talk about how you can use conflict in all of your relationships to actually build stronger relationships. It's really interesting because the Harvard study of adult development, one of the angles that they looked at is people with strong, healthy relationships. It actually boosts their life satisfaction and it leads to greater health and longevity. So, better relationships lead to greater life fulfillment and better health. We are all in many different types of relationships. We are in relationship with our friends, with our family, with our colleagues at work, with our mentors, with our clients, with your romantic partner if you have one. And so naturally, as you're in different types of relationships with different personalities and people from different backgrounds, what's going to happen? Conflict. It's an inevitable part of relating. Now, if you're anything like who I was, I hated conflict. I was so afraid of conflict because growing up, which many of us are afraid of conflict because growing up in childhood, conflict felt scary. It felt unsafe. The thought of upsetting our primary caregivers and having that impact our safety in the relationship, in the dynamic, especially as kids when you're dependent, it's scary. And it tends to make us feel like our relationships are fragile, like conflict can sever a relationship, lead to abandonment, rejection. Now, as a coping mechanism, what I did, and maybe this relates for you, is I became a people pleaser. At the expense of my own needs, I minimized my needs to be agreeable for other people, to win their love, to win their affection. And what would happen in turn is I would people please and I would bottle up my feelings and bottle up my feelings and bottle them up until I exploded. And so I would toggle between this bottling up my feelings and exploding. And this is why conflict gets a bad reputation, because conflict can damage our relationships when we don't work through it effectively. Now, pending your communication style and learned behavior, we all navigate conflict in different ways. So you may have a fight, a flight, or a freeze response to conflict. So what's fight? Yeah, it's what it sounds like. Fight is maybe you learned to fight In conflict, I have to be loud. I have to be aggressive to get my point across, to feel heard, to feel seen. Or maybe you're more confrontational when it comes to conflict. Maybe as a response, you learn to flight, to flee. You avoid conflict at all costs. No, nothing's wrong. Nope, nothing's wrong over here. I don't think we need to talk about that. I'm over it. Let's deal with it another day. Maybe you don't even respond. Maybe you don't even know what to do when you go into freeze mode and you just freeze and you don't even know how to navigate it. And so, pending our early experiences and learned behavior, that will impact what our go-to is. And so I want to invite you, if you're listening and thinking about this, to think about, oh, what's my mode of operation? What's my go-to? Am I usually a fighter? Do I flee? Do I freeze? What's my response? Now, a mentor of mine, Esther Perel, she is this incredible psychotherapist and cultural anthropologist, and she talks about, in the context of relational dynamics, intimacy is built in the repair. Now, what does that mean when it comes to conflict? Trust and connection is built in the repair of conflict. Because when you're in conflict and you're in the repair and two people are choosing to work through it and have that staying power that's saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to work through this challenge with you. This is how you build trust. This is how you build connection. And if you don't have conflict, you're not actually deepening into trust, because when there's no conflict, it's actually a red flag. Because what it's saying is both parties are minimizing and are not fully expressing and being authentic for fear of disconnection or loss of the relationship. Because conflict is an inevitable part of healthy human relating. And when there is no conflict, things are being swept under the rug. Okay? Doesn't mean you have to navigate conflict in a way that's tense, but when there isn't conflict, difference of opinion, friction in relationship, it isn't the best sign. And so you look at, then, where am I minimizing? Where am I not fully expressing? And so there's this myth that, oh, no conflict means harmony. It's a great thing. No, it actually means fear of rupture, because you can't deepen into trust when you're not working through hard things and showing that you're committed to each other. So you need that to deepen the trust. I give, a business example here as it's relevant, as I have this talk coming up, and there's a client of mine, and they had asked me to work on a proposal. Yeah, it's for the corporate space. It's a proposal to give a talk to a team. Team is going through some challenges and they need some support. And so she had asked me to write the proposal in 2 days and send it to her before the weekend so that she could have the weekend to review it. Now, I rushed to send it. It just so happened I had a lot of work going on this week. I had a lot of calls, a lot of client meetings. And so it was stretched for me to create this proposal and to send it out all buttoned up by Friday, by 3. But I got it done because I value our friendship. I value our relationship. I wanted to help out. And so I pushed to get it done. I stayed up till 2 one night, finishing the proposal. I sent it over. Now, lo and behold, she doesn't read the proposal. Monday rolls around and she still hasn't read it. Now, that's frustrating to me. Why? Because what do I make it mean? I make it mean that she doesn't value my time and she values her time over mine. Now, because I love communication, it's an aspect of my business and my work, and transparent communication, I spoke to her about it. Hey, when I found out she didn't read the proposal, this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good because I don't know if you know, but I had X, Y, and Z going on. But I rushed to get it done because I knew you needed it. And I knew this was important to you, this project. And so I wanted you to have the weekend to review it as requested. And what I'm making it mean is that you don't value my time. And she had said, oh my God, I didn't realize how stretched you were for time. And actually, our timeline, the urgency got pushed out by 2 weeks. And so I gave myself a little more time to respond to it. I didn't even think about going back to you to let you know the timing was pushed out. I didn't think it was a big deal. And I'm sorry I missed that. That was a slip on my part. And we strengthened our bond through communicating about it because I understood, okay, slips happen. I've seen times where maybe I forget to communicate to someone a shift in a timeline, a shift in an intention, in a plan. She knows what it feels like, because we're both human, to rush to get something done for someone. And so in this, we deepened our intimacy, we deepened our connection. Now, what are signs? Yeah, when there's conflict, usually it happens for a couple of reasons. One is mismatched values. Yeah. And this helps you identify the meaning you assign. So, for example, if you're someone that values transparency and there's a breach of trust in the workplace, in a relationship, that's going to cause tension for you because it misaligns to your values. If you value respect and you feel disrespected by something someone said, by a careless comment, by your partner not making eye contact with you, by your boss not asking for your opinion on something, by your client not following through on something, there's a mismatch. You don't feel respected. That's the meaning that you're making based on the value that's important to you. And so I want to invite you, when it comes to conflict, to take a pause. If you're the one that's feeling the tension, and to feel into what meaning am I making it feel? Am I making it mean? And what is the value here that I feel is being breached? So think of it: respect. I'm not feeling valued. Trust and transparency. Yeah. I'm not enough. Maybe it's someone who's constantly giving you feedback, criticism. You don't feel like you're enough. And that's frustrating because maybe you value support and acceptance of people. Maybe you want to feel accepted. And so it's tuning into those deeper meanings, and then it's expressing from there. Same thing for another. Yeah, with this piece, it's asking curious questions to understand the meaning that they're associating. So if you see someone's triggered, first it's speaking to the behaviors. What are you noticing? So I like to use, for a tool, it's I. Identify, inquire, and integrate. I'm going to identify, what is it, the behaviors I notice? So for example, I'm noticing you're not making eye contact with me. You haven't made eye contact during this entire meeting. You haven't made eye contact with me during the entire dinner. Yeah. You're speaking with a tone. I feel you getting angry. Identify. Okay. We're observing the behaviors and we're noticing. And we're inquiring. We're getting curious. Tell me, what's alive for you? What does the situation mean for you when I did that? What did that activate within you when I said that? I feel there's a charge here. There's tension between us. Okay. So that's the inquire. Now the integrate is, what can we do better? Yeah. What could we do differently next time to work together more seamlessly, more harmoniously? Or how can I show up differently? But we want to make it a collaborative, how can we be better about communicating when there's tension next time? Maybe that's something like, maybe you each pick something you can do. I can notice when I see there's tension and comment on the behaviors I'm noticing. Or I can speak to, I'm feeling tension. I'm feeling contraction. I'm feeling scattered. I'm feeling a little down, and owning it. And then maybe us naming what we need. Maybe we need space for 10 minutes to then come back and reconnect. Maybe we need space for an hour to write out our thoughts, then to come back and talk about it. And this is how we integrate. It's through then naming what do we each need in a moment to have it be more seamless. So then we have tools moving forward for how we can navigate that kind of situation. What do you need from me? When you're upset, what do you need? Some people, when they're upset, they need space. Some people like coaxing. Some people like just a support, some presence, someone being there. And so it's checking in and understanding what people need. So the I approach: identify, inquire, and integrate. So identify, what is the meaning that they're making it mean, or what am I making it mean? Asking either them a question: what did that activate for you? What does that mean for you? Yeah. How did that impact you? Or asking self that question to understand and inquire, and then to integrate. How can we be better at navigating the situation moving forward? Okay, so that's a reactive approach. Causes of conflict. So we talked about mismatched values and meaning. The other one is mismatched expectations. So this is when you think about, I'll give the example of, what are the expectations about this plan that we made? Maybe you are with a partner and maybe you plan to go on a trip for the weekend. Maybe it's just like a local trip. Maybe one person's expectations are to spend a lot of quality time and play board games and go out in nature and adventure. Maybe the other person's expectations is that you are, maybe the first one's quality time one-on-one. Maybe the other person's expectations is that, oh, we're going to invite our friends and we're all going to spend time and be around people, or go out and connect with people. Maybe go out to bars, go out to clubs, have more of that party vibe, where the other one's more of a chill vibe, a quiet vibe. And so it's these mismatched expectations. Then maybe you go on a trip and there's frustration because one person wants to do X, the other wants to do Y, and there's not alignment. Or in relationships, mismatched expectations about certain intentions, how we navigate conflict as a couple, expectations about how you go out in public as a couple, and expectations maybe around an event, what that looks like, how you relate with each other and with other people in tandem. And so it's noticing when there's mismatched expectations, or when there's friction, saying, maybe that's a sign there's mismatched expectations, and talking about it. What is your take on this? How did you envision tonight going? What would be your ideal scenario? Here's what my ideal scenario is. Or even spending time. How do you like to spend time if you live with your partner? Perhaps you're someone that needs space in the day, maybe more space than they need. Maybe you like to connect and then disconnect, go do your own thing, read, do yoga, dance, cook, whoever you are, whatever your activities are of choice. And so it's feeling into, maybe there's friction because one person wants to spend more time. And so understanding these mismatched expectations. Same thing in the workplace. This can happen in, boss dynamics with their teams, expectations on a project, on meeting a deadline, on requirements of what they're expecting of the person and how they're going to complete the project, show up with the project. Now, a proactive approach would be, this is now if you're feeling frustrated and you want to bring it up to someone, maybe they don't notice that you are. Here's what you can do. Now I'm going to give a corporate example. So maybe it's with a boss or someone that you work for. And we're going to use my DEAR process, DEAR. So the D is going to be describe. We're going to describe what's happening without emotional attachment, speaking to the dynamics. And we want to try to be quick and concise in all of these. So it can be something like, when you asked me to turn around that project in a few days without asking what else I had on my plate. Done. D. E. Express the emotion and the meaning assigned. That gave me a lot of anxiety because I'm also working on X, Y, and Z projects that seem to be priority. And it was hurtful to me because it made me feel like you don't care about my emotional well-being, or that because you didn't ask what else I have on my plate, it made me feel like what else I have going on doesn't matter. Like I don't truly matter to you is how I made it, what I made it mean. A, assert the desire. This can feel scary, yeah, but we're speaking from the heart here and we're saying this is what I made it mean. It may not be your intention, but it made it mean what else I have going on doesn't matter. Yeah, that my emotional well-being doesn't matter because I'm anxious about it. What I'd like is, if there's something that's priority, that we sit down for a few and have a conversation about what else I have going on that I'm working on for you to help me prioritize so that I know what's most important. And this way I can meet your expectations and feel good in the process. And reinforce, why does it matter for the team dynamic or the relationship? Why? Because then I think you'd be happier because I'd be able to meet your expectations. I'd feel more relaxed because I know what the expectations are. And we'd have a more harmonious working relationship, which is what I know you desire, what we all desire. And so it's speaking to that, as challenging as it is, when we do it in that gentle way and we speak from our hearts, it's showing people how we want to relate and what's important to us so that they can understand what behaviors to implement that will get the most success. And this is why we always want to speak to the we, why it matters for the relationship or the team dynamic or the relationship dynamic, whatever it is, or the familial dynamic, so that people want to actually impact change. So we covered a lot today. Yeah. We covered first, conflict is a beautiful thing because it builds intimacy and connection and trust when two people commit to showing up to working together. Now, to commit to working together and working through the hard things, we want to both stay centered. This is why we want to use these tools. First, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to pause. I notice I'm feeling tension. Then I'm going to go through this process, identify, inquire, integrate. What is it that I'm feeling? What am I making it mean? Or what are they making it mean? I'm going to observe the behaviors, name them. What are they making it mean? Let me ask questions. What does that mean for you? How could we do this differently? Show up differently? What could I have done differently? What did you need in that moment? How did this impact you? And then identifying what you need to do together to move forward. Yeah, so getting curious, asking questions to self, asking questions to them, and identifying where there's a mismatch of meaning, values, or expectations. And then identifying what you need to do to move forward. And then we talked about as this proactive approach, you can use the DEAR process: describe, express, assert, and reinforce why it matters for them, the team dynamic, and the relationship. And practice, practice, practice. The more that you practice this in your relationships, both professional and personal, all of your relationships, the deeper connection you're going to have everywhere, anywhere in between that you go. All of your relationships, you're going to see them grow. You're going to feel more connected. You're going to feel more fulfilled. And everything is just going to be so much more beautiful all around when you see the people showing up and doing the work with you, because the more grounded that you stay, the more committed to doing the work that you are, and the more from a relaxed, conscious, and assertive yet curious and open place that you show up, you're going to see that in return. Thank you so much, beautiful people, for tuning in to this week's episode of Divine Union. It's been such a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, may all your unions be divine.